That's just how I was brought up. So I was an emotional wreck. As a man, I can say I was an emotional wreck today.
Okay. That's accountability. There you go.
So I mean, it just keeps going and going and going until there I go again. I moved to another town. I moved to San Jose, California, right? I go to Job Corps. You guys know what Job Corps is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who was in Job Corps. He dropped out of high school and started working on oil rigs.
Yeah, so I go to Job Corps. But let me tell you a little bit about the relationship part, right? So I want to get these girlfriends and I want to be with these girls, but I don't know how to show love, man. I don't know how to reciprocate love.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Sober Strong apparel isn't just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. Heavyweight tees, hoodies, and gear for the ones who draw a hard line. Clean, sober, no compromise. We rep sobriety like a badge of honor, and every piece you throw on says you're part of the crew that doesn't back down. Every order fuels recovery with 10% donated to treatment facilities, because we don't just talk about it, we stand on it.
All right, Bernardo, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan, here with my co-host Rachel, and we got Bernardo here today joining us. Bernardo, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little about where you're from.
First and foremost, man, I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to come on your guys' platform. My name is Bernardo Hernandez. I do have a sober date, and it's 9/16/2022. I grew up in a small town in California, Esteen. Population of maybe like 5,000 people.
Damn.
So in this small town, it's a very farm community. Everybody knows everybody. And growing up, I grew up with my grandparents.
Okay.
So when I found out that my grandparents were, because I thought the whole time that my grandparents was my mom and my dad, you know, until like
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
4 or 5 years old. Is it good? So four or
Wait, I
five
can
years
hear.
old, 4 or 5 years old, is when I came conscious enough to know that, you know what, that's not my mom and my dad. My mom showed up to my house um on a bus. I remember coming home from school and my grandma had told me, there's someone here that wants to see you. And so, it was my mom. And what happened is I was very confused at that time, right? And but I just remember hugging her and there was not too much conversation, because I'm very young. You can't really
How young were you?
explain that. I was about like
Okay.
4 or 5 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
So
So, like, you didn't know how to express the emotions at the time because
definitely not,
you were so
right?
confused at him.
Yeah. I can relate
Nah.
to this actually.
So that made me very confused, you know? So I spend about 15-20 minutes with my mom, and she has to leave. At that time she's in a program because come to find out we got taken from CPS, you
Yeah.
know? And I have a different dad, so I went with my grandparents, And so I realized she has to leave like 15-20 minutes, and at that time, I shared this that I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
If you're my mom, why you leaving me? If you say
Abandonment.
you're
Yeah.
my mom, then where are you going? So at that
You're
time,
bringing tears to my
my
eyes.
grandparents,
I could relate to this on a very heavily level. So thank you for sharing. I'm sorry.
so yeah. So I'm very confused, right? But I'm not questioning anything. But what happens is I start going to school and I start seeing other kids with their parents and their mom and dad going to their activities, and I start building this resentment.
Yeah.
I don't like those kids, I don't like those kids because I'm different. I feel different. And so I start building this anger. I start building this hate towards these individuals, and that's where the destruction started playing a role in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I
I'm
do too.
fighting, I'm acting out. Sorry.
Because you felt abandoned by the one person you thought you could rely on.
100%.
Yeah. So going back to there is where I didn't know what abandonment was. I didn't know what these emotions were, but I knew that I wasn't feeling comfortable in my own skin at a very young age. And at 4 or 5 years old, my grandparents were just trying to do the best they could for me.
Right.
But then I started fighting in school, you know?
Was living
I
with your
started,
grandparents, were they a healthy household to live in?
well, you see, my grandparents, my grandpa's from Mexico and my grandma's from the States, right? But my grandpa is also trying to maintain a household, so he's in survival mode too. There's no emotional. I'm
Yeah.
like I can't come home and tell him, hey, I'm not feeling well or something's wrong with me or anything like that, because that's just not how I was raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens is I start getting in trouble.
Mhm.
I start acting out in ways of, people call it behavior issues, but really I'm crying for help.
Right.
Because if I get in trouble, if I make something happen, maybe my mom will show up. Maybe my dad will show up. And they never showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it was an honest cry to like express your frustration from being, left alone and the abandonment issue. And then you thought that doing these things would actually get their attention. They'd be like, oh, I need to be there for my son.
yeah, because I didn't know how to express my emotions. And the thing is like my grandparents, um, they're trying to maintain a household where they still got my aunts living there. They still got my uncles living in the house. Um, so there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, it's a healthy household, but they got, you know, uh,
Just busy.
and other responsibilities, and I'm this little kid. So the way they were showing me when I was acting out or showing an emotion is buying me stuff. So right away, I thought that's love. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Material things.
crying. Yeah, materialistic things.
Yeah.
So at a very young age, man, I'm confused. I'm very confused. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, and but I didn't know how to express it. So my family would co-sign my bullshit. Junior or Bernardo, that's just how he is because his mom's not here. That's just how he is because his dad's not here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah. They would justify your actions.
Yeah, I get it.
I found sports. And that was my go-to. I was very good at sports, um, but I wasn't very good in school. And then they would try to
Okay.
say that, he has ADHD, he disrupts the class, he does this, he does that. But really they never dug deep and asked like what's really going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And what was high school like, when you started getting into sports, you were successful there, but still having a rough time in school? Were you still getting into a lot of trouble even when you were in sports? And how did you balance everything?
sports, I was very good, but my grandparents, like I said, they were in survival mode. They were working, trying to maintain a household.
Yeah.
So a lot of my friends as parents kind of took me under their wing. You know what I mean? when I started getting into middle school, in middle school is kind of where everything started. I started messing with substances. I started smoking weed, and but I was just trying to hide it, and just try to fit in with everybody else that was doing it, but I didn't really like it. I didn't really like the feeling that it was giving me because I was like stuck,
Yeah.
and I'm very active. I'm very active and I'm supposed to maintain these sports and that, but if I smoke a joint or I smoke a bowl or something, I don't want to go to practice. I don't want to
Motivation's
do what I'm
gone.
supposed to be doing. Yeah. So my friends' parents, man, they kind of took me under their wing. They treated me like I was their own. They knew what my
Yeah.
grandparents were going through. My grandma, she's very loving. She's very giving. Like she's a very good woman. So a lot of them know my grandmother. But what I was getting from my friends is mom and like parents, that household. I wasn't getting it at my household. So majority
Like
of
the
my
family aspect. Kind
yes,
of the feeling of, I had the same thing in high school. I basically lived at friends' houses in middle school. And then I moved over with my dad in high school, and that his living situation became dysfunctional. And my friend's mom, single mom, like let me live at their house my entire junior and senior year.
I
It's
could
like I can
literally
totally
relate
relate.
to it too. Me too. I grew up without a mother. My mother was an addict and she passed away of an overdose when I was 16. And I remember being ripped away from her multiple times, even by police as a little child at the age of 5 and being very confused. We would have supervised visits. And then when it would end, I would be sad. I'm like, why though? Like, why do I have to be away from my mom? And why does she want to be away from me? Like, I don't understand this. And my dad had full custody. He worked all the time, but I ended up making a best friend when I moved to Florida immediately. And her mom took me under her wing and I was raised with her. She's one of my bridesmaids. And, she's just dear to my heart, that woman. I loved being at her house. She was the closest thing to a mom I've ever had. So I get it.
Yeah, yeah. And we all had some complicated
and
childhoods.
well, that's where it all starts. So going back to like that time in my life, I'm craving that mom and dad affection. I'm craving that. And my dad, he started coming into my life more, but it was like a hit and miss. And then what I started seeing his behavior, what he was doing. And I love my mom and dad today, so because I forgive them, but I seen my dad bring a lot of women in and out. So I'm like, okay. I remember someone telling me like, so and so is your dad, right? And I'm like, yeah, and he got all the women, he had all the nice cars, and I want to be like that. That's
Yeah.
my dad. Okay, I'm gonna be like that.
Yeah.
So what I do, I start following his footsteps. At a very young age, I'm over here chasing women. I'm gambling. Gambling was a thing. I'm gonna make some money. So I'm getting all these, what do you call it, bad character or bad traits or whatever it is.
Character defects. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking up on this stuff and but remember, they always co-sign my bullshit. So I
Yeah.
ran with it. So sports were always my go-to. But what happens when I don't play sports? I'm wilding. I'm not coming home when I'm supposed to come home. I'm out there getting in trouble with the police. By the time I was a junior in high school, I already had 7 drunken publics. You know,
Jesus.
Tell us about your first drink, though.
My first drinks. Like I said, it started with marijuana, and then I got into high school, and I remember there was a death, right? And we're sitting in this backyard, and go back. I used to tell. I had a godfather, right? And I used to tell him all the time, man, like, I never want to drink. I never want to do drugs. I never want to do none of this stuff. And he was a big mentor in my life. And he used to just tell me, just stay focused in your sports, stop getting in trouble all the time, whatever, whatever. But
Right.
little did he know that I would be sipping some beer when they would put it on the table. You know what I mean? Or I would be getting their cigarette butts, and I'd be trying to smoke their cigarette butts. You know? So I was
So
already doing
imitating
this
their
stuff,
behavior,
and then
What was that?
go ahead. What'd you say?
like imitating behavior.
Yes. So okay. So and then a death happened, right? A death happened, and I remember sitting in a backyard, and I actually took a taco vodka. So I took a gulp of it, right? And I'm with my friends, and this is my freshman year in high school, and I felt this like warm sensation, this like instant gratification, and I was like, yeah, man, if I could feel like this forever, this is how I want to feel. And
Yeah.
I feel right there is when the devil snatched me up, you know? He snatched me up, and from there on out, I'm chasing that instant gratification, And it became a cycle. It became an every weekend thing where I didn't want to play sports anymore, you know?
Yeah.
I got into this very bad accident where I broke one of my legs and fractured another leg and dislocated a shoulder, and that's when I first got introduced to Vicodin.
Oh,
So
how old were you then?
I was what, 13, 14 years old, you know?
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Can't believe they give that to a 13-year-old.
Right. That's
yeah,
my
so
son's age.
so yeah,
Same.
13,
Oh my
14 years
God.
old, and so then my football, my baseball, all that stuff, my grandparents didn't have the money to take me to physical therapy. They didn't have the gas. They didn't have the time or any of that to do that. So I sat at my house and recovered at my house. I went to school in a wheelchair. Yeah, man, and I got introduced to Viking, and I was like, okay, this is cool, because I wasn't drinking. Obviously, I wasn't drinking, but when I could get out one or two Vicodin extra out of the bottle, I would take it.
Oh yeah.
And that's just how it was, man. And then, I finally got to walking. I finally got to maneuvering around, and I went back to school, and I stopped playing sports. I stopped doing all that stuff, and I started hanging out with the cool kids.
Who
Hmm.
were probably doing drugs and partying hard.
So I was definitely doing it every weekend, man. And I didn't realize what I was doing because the crowd that I was hanging out with, they were older than me.
Yeah.
We I was a follower, but in my mind, I'm this big tough guy. I'm not even that big, but I'm trying to make a name for myself. So I'm doing whatever they're doing. And they're going out every weekend and they're drinking and we're getting girls, and we're not listening to our parents, and that was the get down.
Yeah.
And then it just escalated more with the law. I ended up catching another drunk in public, but this time there was a fight involved. We were involved in a fight. So now at that age, I got a drunk in public and I got a battery charge.
How old?
So
So
now I'm
you're,
on probation. At this
How
time, I'm
old are
like
you?
14, 15 years old.
so you're like
Mhm.
one step away from juvie, basically, at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
So remember I told you we live in a small town, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. So the cops are not going to take you to juvenile hall. The cops are not going to take you to jail. They're going to book and they're going to release you, and you're going to go deal with it in court because, whether the cops knew my family or that's just how the community was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of slaps on the hands. And then, the realization of everything started hitting me. Like, because I told you that I have my grandpa too, and my grandpa, he had a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom, and he wanted to talk to me about these things that are playing out in my life. He wanted to sit down and have that conversation with me, but I would never give him the time of the day
Yeah.
because I was so distracted in the world, you know? So what happens is that through high school, I started feeling that depression more. I started feeling that uncomfortability. I started realizing, like, you know what, like this is not how I want to be, you know? I started understanding what depression was. I started understanding what anxiety.
Yeah.
And it started taking a toll on it started taking a toll on me. But I already had built a name for myself. You know, I already had this image of what people think about me, and I had to live up to those expectations. So I couldn't go and tell someone like, "Hey, bro, I'm having anxiety," or "Hey, bro, I'm having some depression," or "Hey, bro." I couldn't say none of that because the crowd that I was around, we don't talk about that type of stuff.
Yeah. I know.
So the mental health started kicking in, you know? The stuff
Yeah.
that men don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And
Were you suffering from anxiety as well?
yeah, bro, anxiety. I had, if I wasn't from drinking so much and taking pills and all that, if I wasn't under a substance, I didn't know how to be comfortable in my own skin. So we would call it like social anxiety. I didn't know how to be around a crowd. I didn't know how to do certain things without being under a substance at a very young age.
Right.
So what happens is you start drinking at school, you know? You start numbing more. You know, I don't want to feel like this, man. I don't. But I don't have no one to talk to. At least that's what I don't think, you know?
Yeah.
And the crowd, the friends that I was around, man, you know, I could say it now, we were all going through kind of the similar things. So it was definitely like, and we were just trying to maintain whatever we were going through, but we were never talking about it.
Yeah.
So it just leads up to like that. And by the time I was 18, like I said, by the time I was 18, let me backtrack a little bit. When I was 17 years old, my grandpa got diagnosed with cancer, right?
Mm.
I took a leave of absence from school. I went on home studies because hospice came in and they made him a room in the house. Um, Pretty much it was his last days, right? Or last months or whatever time, but they said we had to prepare for it. So I took a leave of absence. But I'll be real with you, you know, that leave of absence just gave me more time to be out in the streets,
Yeah.
you know? It was just an
Yeah.
excuse of me to be out there with my friends and partying and getting women and getting in trouble with the law, you know? So that's kind of how it was. And then my senior year in high school, my grandpa passes away.
Mm.
But I'll tell you right now, during that whole time, I was drunk. You know, I was drunk, and I'll tell you a funny story. You know the little walkie-talkies that we give our children?
Yeah.
So we had one in his room. We had one in my room because my grandma's, they're older, you know? So my grandma's idea was, mijo, if your grandpa calls you um, through the walkie-talkie, make sure you go in and check on him. And let me tell you,
Right.
man, I don't know who invented those walkie-talkies, but he would call me every 10, 15 minutes. Junior, come here. Junior, come here.
He
And
was having fun with it.
the night before he passed away, he called me into the room,
Mm-hmm.
and he liked sherbet ice cream, and he's like, "Mijo, can you give me some ice cream?" And I was like, "Grandpa, it's like 2 or 3 in the morning." He's like, "No, no, no, dame uno. That means give me one." So
Yeah.
I had to feed him, so I feed him one, and then he's like, "Otro." That means another one. So I was like,
Sure.
"Dang." So there I go. I feed him another ice cream. And then he's like, Mijo, dormir aquí, sleep right here with me. And remember,
Mm-hmm.
we're on a hospital bed, right? So I was like, nah, nah, nah. I'm like, ya me voy a mi cuarto. I'm gonna go to my room. And he's like, no, dormir aquí, sleep with me. And I didn't end up sleeping there. And then the next morning, I woke up and we didn't have AC in our house, so I didn't have a ceiling fan in my room. So I went to the other room, and then when I looked into kitty corner there, we had where my grandpa's room was. My grandma was there in there, and she was praying. And I had told her, "Grandma, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just here with Grandpa praying with them." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna sleep in your room." She's like, "Okay." And maybe like 30 minutes to an hour later, she's like, "Junior." And then I got up and I ran in there, and she's like, "He's not breathing. He's not breathing." So I grabbed
Mm.
my grandma, man, and I'm holding her. I take my grandpa's vitals, and he passed away. But
Wow.
I'm trying to I'm trying to be strong with my grandma, but I don't know how to deal with death because every time I deal with death, it's to a drink, you know,
Yeah.
numb it.
Same.
I never got to embrace it. So
You were a senior in high
yeah, it was
school and probably like at the peak of beginning drinking, right?
yeah. So then that was just an event in my life where I could go a little bit more. I'm the man of the house now. I can start
Yeah.
bringing people over. I can start throwing parties at my house. My grandma's not gonna tell me nothing because remember, they always co-sign my bullshit, and so that's what happened, bro. And I remember the funeral, like I remember just being there, but I don't remember. I was bodily there, but I wasn't mentally there,
Yeah.
and that escalated, and then my life just spiraled out of control. There, I got a DUI.
You're like 17, 18 at this point.
I'm 18 year. I'm about to be 18 and I get this DUI, right?
Wow.
But I don't even got a license. I don't even got a license. So I ended up having to pay fines, go to these classes, whatever to get my license. And then finally I did everything that I was supposed to do and I got my license. And mind you, I'm still trying to understand how to be a man. Because no one's giving me money. My grandparents, they're still trying to take care of their household. So I'm gambling. I'm doing little jobs here and there, but I have to get a job. So in order for me to get a job, I have to have a license. So I get my license and then I get a job, but I'm drinking and I'm not able to maintain it. I'm showing
Yeah.
up late. I'm calling off. Um,
Hmm.
at 18 years old. You know what I mean? At 18 years old, this addiction, this disease has me exactly where it wants me. And I'm still in my mind like I have time. I'm still thinking like I have a hold of it. Or I'm still thinking like this is what everybody else does. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
It's a lie, man. It's a lie. I feel like I'm rambling on. I'm not rambling on, but I feel like
No,
I'm
Not
your
at all.
story's
I
really
like
good.
hearing the play-by-play and the step-by-step leading into
Yeah.
your teen years and kind of how it started. I mean, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear what led to what. So,
yeah,
Because I
so
relate
yeah,
a
so you
lot.
got a DUI. Yeah.
so but through all that stuff, let me tell you, I have my sisters. I have three sisters. I have my brothers. Of course, my mom started getting her stuff together a little bit. I started seeing them a lot more. My dad started coming around a lot more.
Okay.
But I was already like set on, you know what? I'm telling you, that depression will take a toll on you, man.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, and it was hard for me to even explain that to my dad or my mom but my mom already understand. My mom's one of us,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
She already understand what I was going through, and I'll be real with you, she gave me, I felt, just that little bit more love
Yeah, I
because she
get
would
that.
try. She would try with me. She would try to talk to me. She would try to to listen to me and show up for me at times, but she could never get a hold of it herself. So after that, I have a godmother and a godfather, and we just lost my grandfather. So they live about an hour away from where I'm from, where I live. So my family suggests that I go live with them. That I go live with them, um, because my environment that I'm around is not healthy. I need to get away from that negativity. I need to get away from that street life, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So what do? I move 20, like an hour, 20 minutes to an hour away from Gustine. And bro, that ain't far at all, you know?
No,
The thing about anxiety, the thing about addiction, the thing about trauma is that anywhere you go, it's going to follow you.
exactly. 100%.
The pain is
But,
universal.
yep.
It's
It's not like you
everywhere.
go into a different, just because you go into a different situation and environment doesn't mean you don't bring the same attitude. And then it's going to attract the same kind of people, same
Yep,
kind of drama, same kind of chaos.
exactly.
But I'm a runner. I'm a runner. I don't know how to take accountability. I don't have integrity. I don't have morals. I don't have principles. I don't have discipline. I don't have none of that stuff, you know? So put me in another town, best believe I'm going to find alcohol. I'm going to find some drugs. I'm going
Yeah.
to find the people that are my people at that.
Yeah, we always
But
do.
now it's
Yep.
just, yeah, now it's just a little bit more deeper, a little bit more deeper. Now I'm I'm not a little kid, but I have a little kid mentality, you know? I get another DUI after I just paid $5,000, uh 8 months of classes. I don't know, somewhere around there, right? Uh, and I get another DUI. This DUI is a hit and run,
Oh my
Oh,
right?
God.
shit.
So I get a hit. I get a hit and run, and I take off and have a friend in the car, and we hit this car because I'm over there passing up another car, and the vehicle was turning left, and I rear-ended him, boom, and my car's all smashed. My friend is on the passenger side, and honestly, he's hurt, right? He's hurt, and I get out, I make sure he's okay, and I run to the other guy, and I tell him he's a Mexican guy, and I tell him, hey, primo, todo está bien, and he's like, no, see, everything's good. So right away, when he said everything is good, I jumped in my car and I took off,
Right.
right? And I get about 5 miles away when the CHP gets me coming in the opposite way, turns around, pulls me out of the car and takes me to jail. This was on a Saturday,
Mm.
and I don't, and I'm fighting a DUI hit and run, and I'm telling you, God God always had like a guidance, like an angel with me, a guidance. I don't know what it was, because I got out on Tuesday. I got
It's
out
pretty
on
cool.
Tuesday, but did I get out? No, I got out on bail,
All right.
you know? I got out on bail. So now, because people, care about me and people want the best for me, they're going to go out of their way and do things for me, but they don't know what's going on deep down inside. They don't know the hurt that I'm going through because I don't
Yeah,
know how to be vulnerable. The only thing I know how to do is cause destruction. That's the only thing I know how to do, right?
exactly.
That's the only thing I know how to do. So I get out on bail, and that's just a slap in the a hand. I pay some fines. Um, the 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 guy, he doesn't press charges. I'm good. I'm good. I don't get my license, right? But I end up getting a lawyer. We fought it, and I got a wet and reckless. So I just got my
Oh
license
wow.
taken away for a year, but I didn't care. I'm still driving. I'm still out there
Yeah,
risking not just my life, but other
Taking
individuals'
nothing of
lives
the
around me.
consequences. Yeah. Just completely ignoring the consequences.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't even know what consequences are. You know? No, I'm being real with you, man, because like the way, it's like, I don't know if it's emotional intelligence. I don't know what the word is, but it's like growing up with my grandparents, they show that tough love. They show that tough love, and it's like, that's not, don't get me wrong, but that's the only type of love they knew how to show. I'm grateful for it today, but I needed that a different type of love, man. I don't know how to explain it.
I know. I
Oh,
get it completely. You're not alone.
and
Trust
I
me.
was never and I was never talkative, bro. I was never, if we weren't drinking over something and we weren't partying or we weren't doing something that had anything to do with that, I ain't got no business with you.
Yeah.
And the problem was too, I didn't know how to, I was in fight or flight. And that's what got me in a lot of trouble too, because I used to love to fight, you
Yeah.
know? I didn't know how to have a man-to-man conversation. I didn't know how to have disagreements without physical I didn't know nothing about that stuff. And that's what caused, a lot of trouble with the law, trouble with just whoever came in contact with me and we were on a disagreement. That's just how I was brought up. So I was an emotional wreck. As a man, I can say I was an emotional wreck today.
Okay. That's accountability. There you go.
So I mean, it just keeps going and going and going until there I go again. I moved to another town. I moved to San Jose, California, right? I go to Job Corps. You guys know what Job Corps is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who was in Job Corps. He had dropped out of high school and started working on oil rigs.
Yeah, so I go to Job Corps. But let me tell you a little bit about the relationship part, right? So I want to get these girlfriends and I want to be with these girls, but I don't know how to show love, man. I don't know how to reciprocate love. I don't know.
Right.
To me, love is like, here's some flowers. Let me take you out to eat. Let me buy you something. Remember, I told you earlier that
Yeah,
my
materialistic
grandparents,
love.
yes, bro. But love requires action,
Right.
you know? And so I would get what I want from these girls, and that's all I wanted. So I would push them away. And these girls genuinely loved me. These girls genuinely loved me, man. Even till this day, I could go back, and have a conversation with these. They understand the way I am today, because obviously I'm a complete 360, and I've taken accountability. I worked the program. I made amends. I've done those things, but I thought that love was just to be honest, love was just a word.
Yeah.
If I tell you I love you, man, I can get whatever I want. And it's sad. It's sad, but I mean that's just the way my life was.
When you grow up like that with the false sense of love from grandparents and your own parents, you're just gonna turn love in your actual life once you got older into something that's just superficial, just to manipulate
Yeah.
or get what you want.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. So I go to San Jose, man. I go to Job Corps. I'm focused. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna drug. And that's so. By that time, man, I'm already dibbling and dabbling into substances. We could say the substance, or does it work? It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Substances,
Yeah, you
right?
could say what.
I remember the first time I did cocaine, man. I'm at a river. I'm there with some of my buddies, and this guy has a bag, right? He's an older dude. They go to the restroom, and one of my boys is like, "Hey, if you're gonna do it, like, here's your chats." Because I've always talked about it. I always like, dude, I see that shit all the time, because remember, I had a household, not my grandparents' household, but another household where I seen all this stuff playing out. I seen people coming in and out. I seen marijuana. I seen other stuff. So I would see that stuff all the time, and I would always tell my boy, like, "Bro, I'm gonna try that stuff." And he told me, he's like, "Hey, bro, now's your chance. They're not gonna charge you. They're gonna give it to you for free." And let me tell you, I went to the restroom. Um, And I told him, hey, primo, dame poquito. And he's like, ah, sí. That means, hey, give me a little bit.
I get a
And,
little bit.
I took a key shot.
Yep.
I took a key shot. And that key shot right there, man, made me feel like not just on top of the world, but like I could drink forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Definitely keeps your night going longer.
Oh yeah, I finished a
Yeah,
bottle of
so
tequila with a friend once when I first tried cocaine. I swore I would never do it because I was afraid of having, having it laced, and alcohol made me try coke. So multiple times.
The last time I did cocaine was actually a couple of years ago at a Seahawks game, and I went into the stall, and you know how those bathrooms are always packed with people, and I still was, drunk, and I just wanted a key bump, and I went in there and like was, facing the wall, and I did it really quick, and I turn around, and there's a man and his son standing right there, and he goes, "Come on, man, really?" And I felt so freaking guilty, and I never touched it again.
Damn.
Not cool.
yeah, you go to a lot of sports events and or like anything like that, and you go into the restroom and all you hear is,
I know.
doing key shots in
Yep,
there.
yep. That's what I was doing. I went to some games sober without it, and I actually ended up enjoying it more because I actually paid attention to the game. But yeah, I always associated Coke with sports all the time.
Yeah, it's a one hell of a drug, so that's the first time I dibbled and dabbled into it. I was probably just out of high school too. So, but where I was at, where I grew up, it wasn't as popular as it is now today. What was popular back then was like meth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a lot cheaper. So that's what you seen mostly in my community. But like you wouldn't like me when I would, because my family used to did what they did, with that, right? And so I would see them and I'd be like, nah, man, I don't ever want to touch that stuff or whatever. Later on, to find out later on, we'll get into that later on in a little bit. But they say, never say never, you know.
Yeah.
And so I got to San Jose. I stayed sober. I met some girl. I was really focused. I'm a welder too. I'm an iron worker. I got all my certificates through there. I was really focused on school. I was really focused on this girl. But being in San Jose, man, is way bigger than what it is where I come from with 4,000 people. Out there, it's a lot of fast life, a lot of things to do, a lot of bars, a lot of clubs, and I fell right back into it. Me and that female went out and went to watch UFC at her family's house, and there I go again because they offered me a beer and I didn't have no discipline, I didn't have no foundation. I said, "Yeah, I'll drink," you know. And that's where it just escalated, and then it went back to drinking on the weekends again, and it went back to giving things away. I gave that relationship away. Not only that, so I give that relationship away. I go to downtown San Jose. I'm with another female. We leave a hotel, and she over there, you could stop the taxis, right, to pick you up. And a taxi picked us up, and we could get to like maybe 2 or 3 blocks down, and she gets out of the taxi and she jumps out, right? So what do? I jump out too, and the taxi driver comes, and I had a backpack on, and he grabs me and he throws me to the ground, and he's thinking like that we're trying to run away, that we're not going to pay him. But I'm over here trying to get this girl. I don't see what's going on with her. Me and him start fighting. Me and him start fighting, and next thing you know, another taxi rolls up, and they start fighting me too. So now it's 2-on-1. And
Oh, okay.
they yeah, and the cops come, they arrest me, they take me to jail. And the dean from Job Corps is Job Corps, but the dean is the one that they got me out of jail. They got me out
Okay.
of there, and I went back to school, but now I'm on restrictions. So at Job Corps, you're not allowed to have a car. I had a car, so I messed that up. I couldn't leave the premises only if it was to go to my trade. and come home or come back to the campus. And
Yeah.
so I had to take the bus that they offer transportation. So mind you, I can't get no alcohol, right? But I could get some pills, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
I could get those things. So boom, I'm just back on now back on the pill thing. And this time there's Vicodin, but you start dibbling into the Percocets, you start dibbling into the Oxy, you start dibbling deeper into uh the addiction, man, because like I said, I was just trying to escape reality, man.
Of course.
I was just thinking I was living that fast life, but I wasn't living, man. I was surviving.
Right.
I was
How long did
surviving.
that last?
I didn't go ahead.
Did it turn into like mostly was your addiction a combination of alcohol and pills at that point, or was like the worst of the addiction turn into the pills?
Yeah.
Well, I want to say alcohol is what led to everything else, right? This last run that I did, I was really bad on the pills and drinking, you know. So, but
Yeah.
mainly if I could get a pill, I would definitely want to do the pill. Um, but because I'm gonna find a way to drink, you know. But let me get a little bit more like so. Okay, I get out, I finish. No, I'm in Job Corps. I'm doing all this stuff, and I have a job. I have this, so they give me the ultimatum. If you want to have your car, if you want to still be funded by Job Corps, then you have to become a non-resident. We'll still pay for your schooling, and we'll give you the benefits of what we offer, but you have to become a non-res. So that means that you have to live off of campus and just come to school. So that's what I did. I found a family out there who I went to school with their grandson, and I moved into a room for $1,300 a month, and I could drink, I could drug. I can't always bring women there, but I'll figure out a way, you know? And that's what I did, man. And so look, check this out. I did that there, but I caused destruction there too.
Right.
It was in a mobile home park, you know? Music too loud, fighting, arguing with
Right.
a girl, you know, all this cops coming, you know? But like I said, like people seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. Because like I said, the grandmother, like my friend's grandmother, she loved me. She cared about me. She knew that I was hurting. She knew that I was struggling. So she never kicked me out. She never like
Still loved you unconditionally.
she never yeah, and it's crazy, bro, because like these people would see this stuff in me and they would care. They would care, but I didn't care. I didn't care, man. I was so selfish. You know, I was so selfish, but I could reflect back, dude. Like I'm telling you, I could reflect back and just think. Look, the thing is about the where I'm at today in life is more on a spiritual level. Like I'm on a spiritual journey where it's like I have an understanding of why the way I was is to make me who I am today.
Exactly.
My past doesn't define my past doesn't define me. In a sense, it's like that's what made me.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
So Rachel and I were talking about before, it was like just all the things that happened in our past, whether we did them or they happened to us. We just don't resent them or regret them a lot because it shaped us into who we are today. It gave us the strength to get through all the obstacles we face today. And it made us who we
Exactly.
are. We wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for all that bullshit.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and the thing is you know, I would always call on God. You know, God, get me out of jail. God, get me out of this situation. God, get me out of this. God, get me that. And God will show up and I'll get out of it and I will go back right to it. You know,
Mhm.
I would get out of it and I would go back right to it. Like, and I took advantage of that. You know what I mean? If God got me out of it today, he could me out of it tomorrow. And it's like, that's not how it works, Bernie. That's not how it works, man.
Right.
And, and my life
Yeah.
just kept going down a spiral, bro. The cycle of insanity. Everywhere I went, it happened. I went to San Jose.
Yeah.
I finished all that, and then I this is another event that happened in my life. Right, I get this phone call. It's my dad. My dad. He calls me and he's like, "Hey, you know, grandma's not doing too well. You know, she's living at home by herself, and don't you think it's time that you go home and you start taking care of her a little bit? You know."
Yeah.
Mind you, at that time, I had a good job. I was working for Union Pacific Railroads. I was out there. The cost of living is very different, so they pay a lot more than what you would be making on where I live in the valley. So out there, if I tell you I'm making $25 an hour, like you're gonna be like, whoa, because over here minimum wage at that time was probably like $10 an hour. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
That's good money at the time.
Yeah. So he gives me that little speech, you know, and to be honest with you, like in my head, I'm thinking like this mother, you know, that's your mom.
Yeah.
That's your mom. You go take care of her. She's the one that told me to go spread my wings. She's the one that told me to come out here. She's the one that told me that, you know what, mijo? Like you need to go out and you need to go live your life. You need to go out and get a career. You need to go out and do this. Because I wasn't doing it here, you know? Nor was I doing it out there, but out there they don't know what's going on out there.
Right.
So that shit hit me. That shit made me feel some type of way. But it was Christmas time, and I would come home and see my grandma. So I packed up all my stuff. I told the lady, like, you know what? Uh, Her name, we called her Grandma Patty. I was like, Grandma Patty, I'm gonna pay this month's rent, but I'm gonna surprise my grandma and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna stay home.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And she's like, okay, okay, Daniel, like, if you ever want to come back, you're more than welcome. You know, my home is your home. My doors are always open. So I came home. I came home on a Friday to my grandma's, and I stayed the weekend partying and stuff like that. And on Sunday nights is usually when I would go back to San Jose, and I would go, and my grandma would pack me lunch. She would give me like whatever I need just for the road, because that's what grandmas do, you know. And
Yeah.
this time, when she did all that, I told her, I was like, Grandma, I'm not going home. I'm not going back to San Jose. And she's like, "Oh, Junior, shut up. Don't. I know you are." And I was like, "Nah." I was like, "I'm not. I'm staying here. You know, Merry Christmas." And she thought I was bullshitting. And then till she went to go look in my car, and she seen all my stuff. She seen all my
Mm.
stuff, and let me tell you, man, she felt definitely excited, and you know wanted me home, but she knew deep down inside that it was not a good idea, you know? She knew deep down inside, because not even 2 or 3 months into to living in Gustine, that's where it's at, Gustine. Dude, I get another deal.
Wow.
I get another, and this time it wasn't my car. It wasn't my car, so I'm over there having to get the money. But remember, I got a DUI before I was 18, so they couldn't bring that up anymore.
Right.
And then I got another DUI. I got another DUI, but we fought it and we turned it into a wet and reckless. So this next DUI was an actual like DUI where they took away my license for 2 years. I think 2 years. And then I had to do the 16. I think it's 16-month program. I'm not
Yeah, I
You
sure.
had
did
like a blow and go
9.
and everything.
Yeah, I did 9, but
Or
that was
9-month
10 years
program.
ago.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I get another DUI, but I didn't care. I was still driving. I was still drinking and driving. I was still doing what I was doing, and nothing was gonna stop me. And at this time, man, like I said, I'm doing cocaine every weekend, and I'm drinking. And if there's pills there, I'm gonna take a pill. You
Yep.
know, that's just how it was. My mentality was, if I'm too high, I got something that could bring me down. If I'm too
Yeah.
down, I got something that could bring me up.
Same. I always was like balance. I got a Xanax, but I could also do some coke. So level out, like balance. That was my mentality too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Uppers, downers. Let's do it.
While drinking.
I don't, uh, I don't. The drug don't do me. I do the drug,
Yeah.
and that,
We
and
need
that
the
was it.
rules.
Yeah, and it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. We have that stinky thinking. We have that stinky thinking, but we don't know better. You know, but yeah. So it just got deeper and deeper to, uh, you know, I'm gonna fast forward a lot more because it's just gonna be like that. But where it really got bad, this is where it really starts getting bad is
Your rock bottom.
my rock bottom, but like where I started becoming not suicidal, but I don't want to live anymore.
Right.
You know, so one day get into some trouble, right? Get into some trouble, and God gave me another chance, right? And I remember my godmother calling my grandmother and telling my grandmother, you know what, if Junior wants to come and move to Stockton, California with me to get his life together, to get away from that environment, to get away from all that negativity. He's more than welcome to come. I'm willing to let him use my car, even though he doesn't have a license, and find a job, go to work. He doesn't have to pay rent. He doesn't have to do anything, but I just want what's best for him, right? And sure enough, man, God's working in my life. I'm not going to meetings. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm white knuckling it, but I'm going to the gym a lot. You know, I'm going to the
Okay.
gym, I'm staying focused. Um, I end up finding a job as a welder at a company. And then so I'm just working. I work nights, so I'm working nights, going to the gym, coming home, sleep. That's my routine, right? For a good, like almost 2 years,
Yeah.
like
So it's
that.
a cycle, like just repeating.
Yeah, just that. But let me tell you, the emotions were still there.
Yeah, the
The
frustrations.
uncomfortability, the anxiety was
Hmm.
worse.
Of course.
The anxiety was worse. Depression, I was kind of like, just like, I could talk about it a little bit more. I was a little bit more vulnerable about it, but I had a lot of, that's when I started realizing I had a lot of trust issues.
Yeah.
So
You've been
for
let down
dude,
since you were a kid, so like that
yeah,
developed trust issues.
so for those 2 years, man, I'm white knuckling it, and I meet this woman, I meet this girl, and she was introduced to a friend, and introduced from one of the friends that I have, and I'll be real with you, I thought it wasn't gonna be nothing serious. We end up meeting up, and the love was too real to be true. I don't know, this girl loved me, like, so I start getting
Hmm.
scared.
And then
I'm
your answer is
sober.
always run.
Yeah, yeah. So everywhere I run, bro, she's gonna follow. So what do
Okay.
I do? I start being mean to her. You know, not abusive, nothing like that, but causing fights, not coming home when I'm supposed to come home because I didn't know how to accept the love she was giving me, man. I can say that today.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I would try to cause this friction so that hopefully she says, you know what, F this guy. I don't want to be with him. And then I would feel relief. But she
Yeah.
never did that. She never did that. So what did I do? I relapsed. I relapsed. When I relapsed, I now work for California Great America. I now have a brand new vehicle. I have all these materialistic things, right? Because I don't know how to work on the inner self because I'm not working the program. I'm not vulnerable. I don't have no one to talk to. I don't go to therapy. So I have all these materialistic things. I don't have self, bro. I don't have self. So I relapsed,
Yeah.
and it started with a drink, but so that nobody else could find out that I was drinking, I went straight to pills.
Yeah.
I went straight to pills and drinking the duels, right?
Yep,
So,
that's how it starts. The NA beers.
yeah,
Tried that
you're
before.
right.
The shit does not work. It's just overpriced bullshit.
Bro, it makes you bloated.
Yeah.
So
All
I'm
that
telling
to
you, I'm
not
working.
feel drunk.
Yeah, because I'm drinking these duels, but nobody knows I'm on pills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't see my bank account, but I'm over here spending $800 to $900 a week,
Jesus.
a week. And so slowly and surely, bro, I started giving things away. You know, my life started going out of control again, and I got in trouble at my work for they found pills in my glove department in my work truck.
Oh shit.
And
Shit.
instead of firing me, they gave me the ultimatum. But my boss already knew. At that time, I was very good friends with the grandson, and me and him were cool. So he knew a little bit about my backstory and where I came from and how my life was and this and that. So he knew that I was probably back on my shit, you know? And so he gave me the ultimatum, man. He said, you know what, Bernardo, I don't want to fire you, man. You're a good worker, but I can't have you on pills working on rides. I
Right.
can't have you on pills driving and working at an amusement park. I can't have it.
Right.
So he said either you go to HR and tell them you have a problem or you don't show up to work no more. And at that time I'm in a relationship. So now I have to go and tell my girlfriend that I have to tell my work because I got in trouble for doing pills, and then in my mind how she's going to know that I'm on pills. So it was just like, whoa. But she supported me.
Hmm.
She supported me. The next day I went to HR. I told HR, I have a problem. I have a problem, and I need some help.
Accountability.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So right away I got into a program. I went to rehab,
Okay.
outpatient, an outpatient program at for 60 days through Kaiser. And it was like school. Like you go at 7 o'clock in the morning and you don't get off until 3:30, right? But at that time in my life, like is when I definitely found out that you know what, I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
Because I walked into this room and realized like all these people are just like me. It's kind of like I felt at home, right?
Right.
And I would hear their stories, and I would hear their experience, and some of them had some time, and I was just like, dude, I need to I need this. So I try to follow everything that they suggested, but
Right.
I would go to meetings. You had to do like 90 meetings in 90 days in order
Yeah.
to pass the program, in order to return back to work.
How much you end up
I
doing?
would I would well, I did 90 meetings, even more,
I know I did like
meeting.
110 and 90 or something. And I was like, shit, I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, meeting makers make it, right? And I do these meetings, but I don't get a sponsor. I don't work the steps, but I'm definitely trying to be involved, right? And because I'm around these individuals, but like what happens behind closed doors,
Yeah.
you know? Do I have a relationship with God? Do I have a foundation? I'm just showing up. I'm just showing up because I want my job back. I want my girl to understand that I'm in a program and this and that. But I get into the program and they suggest that you don't make any big commitments for like the first year, right?
Right.
So right there, that's my go-to to tell my girlfriend at the time, like, hey, we can't be together. we can't be together because the program says that, or rehab says that we can't have no commitment.
Oh, damn.
She's like, Daniel, like, I support you. Like, I want to be with you through all this. Like
Wow.
let me be here. And my thing is like when I would see women cry, like that would get me, you know. And I would I would take her back, and and this is where I kind of regret that I didn't allow her to come to the family um programs so that the families can get a little bit of acknowledgement of the disease, of the addiction,
Uh-huh.
because she don't know nothing about it, and she doesn't know she doesn't know triggers, she doesn't know about the things that we go through.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things where, like, I look back now, I wish I would have, but I mean, it is what it is. So we end up staying together, man. We end up staying together, and I went through rehab. I went through all that stuff, and after I got out of rehab, we were fighting, and this and that. And I remember telling her, come pick up your stuff. Come pick up your stuff from the house, and I don't want to be with you no more. And she comes and picks up her stuff, and 2 weeks later, we found out we're having my son.
Oh, wow.
We found out we're having my son. So I'm sober though, right? Is this still running?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says your device storage is running low, so you might have to kind of rush it so it doesn't shut down on you.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
I,
So
I got
yeah,
some
so
notification popping up, and yeah.
all right, so I'll speed up. So we found out we found out we're having my son, and I don't have a dad, right? So I'm a runner. I'm about to have a son. I don't know how to be a dad. I never had my dad. What am I gonna do? Right?
Right.
And but I'm like excited, but I don't know how to be excited. I don't know how to show these emotions. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So my mind's running, man. My mind's running, and so things started playing out. Not just too long after that, a little brother, I get a phone call. He got life in prison.
Wow.
And so already having a kid, already going through what I was going through, that premeditated type. I think we talked about this before, where it was already planned in my head that once I get a chance to go out, I'm going back out.
Yeah.
And I went
Relapses
back
are
out, right?
always premeditated, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I went back out. Yeah, I went back out, and I went back out until September 16th, 2022. And through that whole time, I have my son. Her relationship is rocky. I was never really there. I was bodily there, but I wasn't present.
Exactly.
I never really talked about this type of stuff with uh other individuals about our relationship, but I'll tell you guys a little bit. Like, a lot of my trauma, a lot of the things that I went through without her understanding, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Love and addiction, they don't correlate. You got to choose one or the other, and I was choosing my addiction over my son, over her, and over anything else. And I was deeper and deeper into the hole, and I gave everything away. I gave everything away. I'm a strong believer that we don't lose nothing, because God blesses us with these blessings, but because we're selfish, we give them away. I gave that relationship away. I gave my
Hmm.
son away. I gave that job away. I gave that car away. Why? Because I was selfish, man. I was selfish. So what happens was she gets sick and tired of being sick and tired. She's caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
She's caught in the crossfire. So what does she do? She can only take so much, man. So she gets her stuff, and she leaves. She leaves with my son, but we're still trying to maintain a relationship. She's pregnant again.
Oh, wow.
She's pregnant. She's pregnant again. Um, so now and I'm in my addiction. I'm deep in. I'm deep in. I'm drinking every day. I'm popping pills every day. This time, if I can't get Vicodin, if I can't get a perk, if I can't get an oxy, I don't mind. I don't mind getting a blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't want to deal with everything that I'm dealing with.
I want to face reality.
Nah, man, I don't. I don't want to face nothing. All I want to do is escape everything, but I don't want to kill myself, but I don't want to live anymore. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I started isolating. I couldn't maintain a job. Luckily, I had a friend who owned a farming business who still kept me afloat, who would still call me and be like, "Hey, bro, I know you probably, not in the best shape or whatever, but you come work, come make some money." And I would go and work a little bit and to still maintain my habit. The reason why I wasn't
Yeah.
homeless is because I still had my grandmother.
Mm,
The reason why I wasn't homeless is still because I still had my grandmother. But let me tell you, man, I put that woman through hell. But
okay.
her prayer is why her prayer is why I'm clean and sober today. So okay, so this is where like it gets to. I'm praying every day to God. I'm praying every day to God because you know what, God, I don't want to wake up.
This episode will be continued. Tune in for part 2 next week on Rock Bottom with Ryan to hear Bernardo's inspiring rise from rock bottom.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.
You were very honest. Really appreciate it.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
understand that completely.
I love that. Yeah. I'm very active in AA too. Yep. Good.
You're a big inspiration for sure.
Nah, man. I'd let you go on forever if I could. Nah, you actually had a really, really good step by step of your life and how it progressed. I mean, that was actually really good.
And I
So,
could seriously relate to you on a very high level. So you're a huge inspiration to know your story more. You weren't rambling on. I'm usually more talkative in a lot of the episodes, but for me, I got to hear your story and I relate to you, especially on the mom thing at that young age. I know that feeling. Oh, and it actually led into why I started drinking. And that feeling, I always described it as that lost. I felt like a duckling lost my whole life, like looking for my mom. Like that's how I felt my whole entire life. So I could really, really relate to you. So I wanted to hear you and you really inspired me from the jump, but now you inspire me more. So just the way you speak.
Oh, yeah. No, we appreciate it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes you not take things for granted anymore.
Not anymore, though.
Good. I can tell that you're in a good place, It seems like your personality and everything, you're just in such a good place and in a place to help people, even beyond sponsorship. It seems like you're just an inspiration to everything. So, I mean, that's huge. I mean, what you just told me a minute ago, like saying like, hey, Ryan, you've been in hell. Rachel, you've been in hell. That's like, it almost entices me to want to go deeper into my past and talk more about it. So thank you.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate. Thank you for being on.